his mental health. In an essay published in the Players Tribune, the five-time NBA All-Star wrote that he suffered a panic attack on November 5th, and it came out of nowhere. Love wrote he has been seeing a therapist a few times per month since then, and that he was inspired to open up about his mental health by Raptors guard DeMar DeRozan, who acknowledged last month that he suffers from depression. Love hasn't played since breaking his hand January 30th. The Cavs were also in action last night. A new lineup against the Pistons. Larry Nance Jr. starting for the first time as a Cavalier. In the second, Rodney Hood can't get the layup to go, but Nance steals the ball back, finds J.R. Smith, who throws an off-balance lob to Nance for the dunk. Nance Jr. 22 points, 15 rebounds, both career highs. In the third quarter now, Cavaliers up by 12. George Hill looks and finds a cutting LeBron James for the dunk. Cavs up by 14. Next Cavs possession, James pulls up and hits the three. That would be 13 straight points by James. LeBron, 31 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists for the night. He was happy. The Cavs with the win, 112-90. Now back to First Take.
22. How about the new look Cavs blowing out the new look Pistons? Stephen A., break it down for us.
About? What are you asking?
I'm asking your reaction to the game.
For me personally, I could give a damn about what I saw from the Cavs last night. LeBron James was sensational for 3 quarters. He rested in the fourth quarter. Larry Nance, 22 points. It's nice to see.
No Tristan Thompson. He's starting. That's Larry Nance's first start.
That's good. Did a good job. I could care less about anything.
Okay.
You know what I care about, ladies and gentlemen? We haven't, my man, the late, great Stuart Scott, who we miss and love dearly. God bless his wonderful soul. Used to call the city of Detroit dtory. I loved when he would say that. Dtory, that's what he used to say. And you know, once upon a time, I used to go to the Pistons Palace at Auburn Hills. Used to love spending my time in Detroit. And I used to love that announcer that would introduce Billups and Rashid and Big Ben Wallace and Rip Hamilton, Chauncey, the whole crew. Used to absolutely love it. Hadn't been the same in a while. We understand that. But I must confess I expected a little bit more when Stan Van Gundy got there, because I happen to believe that the man is a damn good basketball coach and what have you, but the results have not been there. 32 wins the first season, 44 wins the second season, and now they're heading in the wrong direction. 44, then after that, 37 wins last year. Now you've lost 3 straight all on the road, 8 of your last 10, 9 of your last 11. What the hell has happened to the Detroit Pistons? When Blake Griffin arrived, particularly in the Eastern Conference, we were looking at the Detroit Pistons and saying, yo, they can make some noise. They can do something.
I wasn't.
That's fair. That's fair. You're right. You're absolutely right about that, Max. I was. Because I said in the East, with Blake and Drummond, Ish Smith, I like him. Reggie Jackson and those boys, they can play. Something is not right. And we need to have a conversation. It's about one of the two or both. It's either about Blake Griffin or it's about Stan Van Gundy, 5 years, $35 million, running basketball operations and coaching. It's either one of them or both of them. But something is not right with this picture. I expected more from the Detroit Pistons, and I ain't getting it.
I'm going to leave the Cavs alone. I'm going to leave the Cavs alone. I got you right now.
Sure.
It's about neither one of those guys. It's not about Stan Van Gundy. It's not about Blake Griffin. I take no pleasure in this. A lot of times we'll preface what we say when we're going to go at a player, because I'm not against the player. I understand these players spend their whole lives becoming the best in the world, probably in the most competitive field in the world, the NBA. Okay. And then the league changes from under their feet, and they're like, wait a minute, the thing I've been practicing my whole life, suddenly that's not valued anymore? That's Andre Drummond. The problem is not Blake Griffin or Stan Van Gundy. The problem is their best player until recently is not actually as good as you think he is. It's not that he doesn't have elite, Andre Drummond.
Okay,
it's not that he doesn't have elite skills in certain respects. He's an elite rim defender. He's an elite defensive rebounder. And you see him going to the post, and you think, oh, he's good at scoring the post. In fact, he's not. His point expectancy per possession in the post is lower than average. He should be better in the post. And not that he doesn't pass out of the post as much as a center should, who gets fed the ball in there. So he gets the ball, it stays with him, and then he's bad at converting that into points. That's one. Two, that's not even really what's valued in the NBA anymore because of the way the game has changed. Rim protection's good. Defensive rebounding is good, of course. But not at max dollars, not if that's your best player and that's really what he does. If you can't space the floor, if you can't hit free throws, he's gotten marginally better, but not elite. And by the way, Reggie Jackson, too. Reggie Jackson's a nice little player. I like Reggie Jackson. But if he's your starting point guard and you want to squint and pretend he's a star, I got bad news for you. So my point is this. Blake Griffin, whatever else you want to say about him, is a fantastic player. You could say he's divisive in terms of teammates not getting along. If you look at the Chris Paul situation, you can say he's not as great as he should be, whatever. Blake Griffin's a terrific player. That's one. That's one. Just because Drummond was better than Greg Monroe, he was the keeper, doesn't make him a great player.
I'm trying to be a good teammate here and help you out.
Go ahead.
Because what you're saying is ridiculous. You know why? Because even in the face of all its truth, who picked him? Who brought him there?
Right.
Hold on, Max. He's not just the coach. He's the president of basketball operations. 5 years, $35 million. He's the guy. That's why Isaiah Thomas is not there. That's why Joe Dumars is not there. He's the guy that you handed everything to. I respect the hell out of Stan Van Gundy. I appreciate his honesty and candidness. I know he knows the game of basketball. He actually did a good job in Miami before Pat Riley had to push him up out of there because D-Wade and Shaq and those boys wanted him out of there because he was just too panicky in their eyes. He goes to Orlando. He clearly did a good job with the Dwight Howard and the rest of them. But this man is the president of basketball operations and the coach. Everything you said, he picked them knowing everything you knew.
That's fair.
So what's the problem?
What I will say is this. What Daryl Morey did in Houston, when you don't have a superstar, you look for the most talented player you can find. What I'm saying is Reggie Jackson is talented. Andre Drummond is talented. They have gone enough now with the Pistons to see they're not the answer. Therefore, the answer is you keep Blake Griffin, you got to get rid of Drummond and maybe Reggie Jackson.
But that's not good enough. That's not good enough. And here's why, Max, because think about what you're saying. You just highlighted all the nuances that comes with assembling a team in today's generation of basketball. Well, Max, if you know it, sitting here, he's the president of basketball operations. When you formulate a roster, you're supposed to have all of these things in mind when you decide to make these moves, to keep players that you keep and let go of players that you let go of. And I like Stan Van Gundy, but I can't ignore what I'm watching.
Two things. One, I understand his identifying Andre Drummond as talent, wanting to see how far he could develop. I think the experiment has gone on long enough. You see, he's not as good as you would have hoped at this point in his career in terms of actual value in the NBA, not counting numbers. Two, I think the reason he's still on the team is because the rest of the league knows that too. I don't think it's easy to find a trading partner to get something that you feel has real value for Andre Drummond.
Well, can I ask you a question? A real quick question, and maybe it's a rhetorical one. I understand that everything's not great. I truly, truly do, all right? And I understand also that Reggie Jackson's been out for a while. Let's not forget that because that has a profound impact. Because Reggie Jackson could ball and he's been out with the ankle injury. You understand? I get all of that. I listen to my man Vince, who covers the team all the time, okay? The man knows what he's talking about. But all I'm trying to say to you is this. At the end of the day, if I got Drummond and Blake in the East, am I supposed to be losing 8 or 10, 9 or 11?
So he's
on the outside looking in. I'm not even one of the top 8 teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I got news.
Something's wrong with that picture.
I think it's hard to win with Drummond as a focal point of the team in today's NBA.
Okay.
It's not a knock on Drummond. The league has changed.
And I'm saying to you that if you Stan Van Gundy, you got to know that even when you made the deal for Blake Griffin or before you made the deal.
That's fair.
Oh, by the way, play them interchangeably as opposed to together. You could do that too. There's ways to work around it.
Stan Van Gundy's under the impression that Drummond is going to lead them somehow to the promised land, then he is not doing a good. I think that's the wrong evaluation.
Yeah.
All right. When we come back, guys, it's the most anticipated fight this year, but the Canelo Alvarez Triple G fight could be in jeopardy. We will explain. Plus,
You like that? You like that?
Von Miller certainly likes that. Don't miss when the Super Bowl MVP tells us why Captain Kirk is the guy he thinks can bring Denver back to the big game.